It's confirmed. Sony's new 2024 flagship TV will not be using OLED technology. Instead, it's going to feature an upgraded mini LED backlight that will provide around 3 times as many local dimming zones as on last year's BRAVIA X95L, as well as approximately 50% higher peak brightness. In this video, I will go through the differences between Sony's new TV models for the year ahead. But before that, it's important to note that the Japanese company has decided to unify its TVs, soundbars, and other home audio technologies under a single BRAVIA brand, underlining Sony's ability to draw from its unparalleled film industry, professional equipment, and consumer electronics experience to deliver cinematic picture and evocative sound as the filmmaker intended. With this in mind, Sony has also overhauled the nomenclature of its 2024 TVs, which will consist of the flagship BRAVIA 9, the step-down BRAVIA 8, the mid-range BRAVIA 7, and the entry-level BRAVIA 3, rather than the X95M or A80M if we follow the naming convention of previous Sony televisions. As mentioned earlier, the flagship BRAVIA 9 will be a mini LED TV that's been designed to handle brighter HDR content, which Sony expects to become increasingly commonplace following the launch of the 4000 nit BVM HX3110 reference monitor. 3 screen sizes are available, namely 65, 75, and 85 inches, but very surprisingly, the smallest 65-inch model won't be sold in Europe, including the UK, where rooms are smaller and space is more limited, yet will be available to buy in the USA. The BRAVIA 9 will be equipped with next-gen XR backlight master drive technology to provide more local dimming zones, higher peak brightness, and improved energy efficiency. In fact, Sony said that the BRAVIA 9 will have 3 times as many local dimming zones as on last year's X95L mini LED TV, not to mention be up to 50% brighter, that means around 2500 to 3000 nits, and 20% more power efficient. To demonstrate the precision of its upgraded XR backlight master drive technology, Sony put together a 4-way comparison comprising a pair of its new BRAVIA 9 mini LED TVs, the bottom one completely intact, and the top one with its front glass, quantum dot enhancement film, and LCD layer removed so we could see its exposed LEDs, and a pair of QN90C, Samsung's flagship 4K mini LED TV from last year, which according to Sony has a similar zone count to the BRAVIA 9, set up in a similar manner. We were not allowed to film the demo, but from this series of photos, hopefully you can appreciate how the Sony BRAVIA 9 not only illuminated small elements on screen in a brighter manner, but also painted a clearer outline of each object being displayed, thanks to several contributing factors. 1. Sony has developed the world's smallest LED driver in collaboration with its semiconductor manufacturing division, which in turn allows more LEDs to be packed into the same space, increasing the capacity for more local dimming zones. Furthermore, the LED drivers inside the BRAVIA 9 are capable of handling significantly higher bandwidth, quoted as 22-bit control by Sony, compared to conventional LED drivers which are typically 8 to 10-bit. Unlike some other mini LED TV manufacturers who prioritize high zone counts to market their TVs as superior, Sony focuses on effective use of the zones, arguing that simply having a high number of local dimming zones isn't beneficial if each zone cannot be controlled in a finer manner beyond mere on-off states. Sony's more sophisticated approach takes full advantage of its LED drivers' higher processing bandwidth to finely adjust the brightness of the dimming zones, carefully manipulating light and energy to enhance peak brightness, shadow detail, and midtones where required, leading to a richer and more dynamic viewing experience. In case you are wondering why all these photos are tinted blue, the exposed blue LEDs were so bright, infusing the entire room, we actually needed to wear special filter glasses to avoid eye damage. Despite the improved picture performance, Sony remains committed to sustainability, helped in no small part by the company's LED driver technology, whose higher bandwidth capacity allows for very specific targeting of luminance levels for different scenes and objects within those scenes. For instance, if a scene requires a street lamp to be illuminated at 50 nits, the TV can adjust its output precisely to avoid unnecessary excess brightness within and around the zone, which reduces power consumption as well as blooming. In addition, the LED driver's ability to modulate the duration of the LED firing, similar to dimming a light through a dimmer switch, enables finer control over the light output without increasing the power used. By extending the pulse duration slightly instead of increasing power, the TV is capable of maintaining brightness while consuming less energy. The Sony BRAVIA 9 is said to use 20% less power than last year's X95L, even though the newer model is up to 50% brighter and has up to 3 times as many local dimming zones. In a separate demo, Sony pitted a 75-inch BRAVIA 9 against an X95L of the same screen size, putting both mini LED televisions into a special engineering mode where only the backlight was displayed. Again, the BRAVIA 9 outperformed the X95L comfortably in terms of backlight intensity and focus, delivering sharper contrast and more refined gradation between light and dark areas on screen. So if you were to play a game of guess the object from the backlight, you're more likely to win with the BRAVIA 9, and who doesn't like winning? Otherwise, the Sony BRAVIA 9 uses a VA-type LCD panel equipped with viewing angle compensation film, marketed as X wide angle with X anti-reflection by the Japanese brand. The onboard acoustic multi-audio plus sound has received a further upgrade through the addition of a pair of beam tweeters to add height to the audio and improve sound positioning, amounting to a 70-watt 2.2.2 channel system overall. The Sony BRAVIA 9 also supports the next iteration of acoustic center sync technology, fusing the sound of the TV speakers with compatible Sony soundbars seamlessly to create a cinema-like experience where the sound appears to come directly from the TV screen. To accommodate a soundbar beneath the panel, you can choose to install the pair of supporting feet in a raised instead of low-profile position, either in the default wide configuration or closer to the center to fit on a narrower AV rack. One rung down from the BRAVIA 9 flagship mini LED TV is the BRAVIA 8 OLED, which can be thought of as a replacement for last year's A80L series. Just like its predecessor, the Sony BRAVIA 8 will use a WOLED panel without MLA technology, though with a modest 10% brightness boost over the A80L. The chassis has been sculpted to be similarly thin from top to bottom without the typical bulge around the back, contributing to a clean unibody design. Sound is emitted from the screen using Sony's Acoustic Surface Audio Plus system, which also supports the company's acoustic center sync technology, designed to synchronize the sound output between the TV and compatible Sony soundbars. Talking of which, the pair of supporting feet on the BRAVIA 8 can also be elevated to accommodate a soundbar, in addition to a low-profile stand placement in either the narrow or wide positions. 3 screen sizes are available, namely 55, 65, and 77 inches. So if you want to buy a 42-inch, 48-inch, or 83-inch OLED from Sony this year, you will have to go with the 42 or 48 A90K, which will be continued for the 3rd year running, or the 83-inch A80L that will still be sold through 2024. For fans of QD-OLED technology, last year's award-winning BRAVIA A95L will be carried over, likely equipped with Samsung Display's 2nd generation rather than brighter 3rd gen QD-OLED panel. As always, Sony refused to be drawn on the specifics. The next new TV model introduced by Sony for 2024 is the BRAVIA 7 series, based upon XR Backlight Master Drive Mini LED technology to deliver 30% higher brightness and 8 times as many local dimming zones as on last year's X90L, which will be carried over too. Certainly, a side-by-side backlight comparison between a 65-inch BRAVIA 7 and an X90L of the same screen size demonstrated the BRAVIA 7's more accurate backlight control afforded by more local dimming zones, resulting in deeper blacks, less blooming, and more precise delineation. Again, we were prohibited from taking videos, so it's photos only. The Sony BRAVIA 7 will come in 4 screen sizes of 55, 65, 75 and 85 inches, although European countries, except the UK, won't get the smallest 55-inch version. There's also a new BRAVIA 3 direct lit LED LCD TV which will be available to buy in the USA but not in Europe. Before you Europeans start writing an email complaint to Sony, the BRAVIA 3 will use a 60Hz LCD panel without local dimming, so it's no big loss really. Let's talk about some features common to the BRAVIA 9, 8 and 7. All 3 TVs will be using the MediaTek Pantonic 1000 chipset within Sony's BRAVIA XR processor, so only 2 out of 4 HDMI inputs will support HDMI 2.1 4K 120Hz gaming, of which one is the eARC port. The BRAVIA 9, 8 and 7 will ship with a new Eco Remote made from 80% recycled material, featuring USB-C charging on top of the previously introduced remote finder and backlit functionalities. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed a direct access button to Sony Pictures Core. That's the new name for Sony's BRAVIA Core very high bitrate streaming service. On the topic of streaming, there is a new Prime Video calibrated mode that has been developed in collaboration with Amazon to ensure that viewers can enjoy content as closely as possible to the creator's intent. Exclusive to the Sony BRAVIA 9, 8 and 7 at this time of filming, the Prime Video calibrated mode would automatically apply some predefined parameters based on not only the content being played, whether it's SDR or HDR, movies, TV series or live sports, but also the display technology type, whether it's an OLED or LED LCD TV. One example cited was that when watching live sports on Amazon Prime Video, motion flow smoothness would be bumped up to 1 to reduce motion blur. Gamma would go up to 1 since it's more likely to be daytime. And color temperature would be slightly cooler according to Amazon's intent to recreate live reality in the studio. And all these picture settings, including ambient light sensor, would be locked out with no way for users to adjust them. All I can say is that I will reserve judgment until I can get my hands on a review sample sometime soon. Now, if you are undecided about which Sony TV to buy, one place where you can get good advice is at Richer Sounds, a trusted British AV retailer who has won the Best Retailer of the Year award from Which Consumers Association for the 5th time in the last 6 years. Richer Sounds has more than 50 stores in the United Kingdom, and to get the best deal, advice and demonstration, go visit your local Richer Sounds store to meet the knowledgeable staff and see the TVs yourself. Thanks again for your support. Okay, Sony's 2024 TVs are slated to start shipping in spring. But should you buy a newly launched TV or settle for an older model? Well, it just so happens that I've done a video about this very topic, so go watch it here.